welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Leah and I'm so happy that you stopped by. This is book time and I'm going to be going over 11 books that changed my life. Keep in mind that I am a Christian, so a lot of these books are going to reflect my faith journey. But there are so many books that I have also mentioned that have nothing to do with faith, but they just encourage us in our daily walk as humans on this earth, in our habits, and what we have to offer the world. So I hope that you join me, and let's go ahead and dive right in. In no particular order, I'm going to start with The Well-Watered Women by Gretchen Saffels. You can tell I've really read this a lot because it's worn. I think that I've read this twice now. I really enjoyed it. So it is not a devotional book like you would think, but it has chapters on specific things. It really covers a lot of walking through seasons of uncertainty, anxiety, fear, confusion, and feelings of like purposelessness. And so I feel like this book has been such a great encouragement to me and a lot of people that I've actually been able to offer this book to as like a great piece of wisdom or help through trauma or help through something that they're going through. And I feel like this book has just really grounded me a lot in my faith, but also as a woman. And so I feel like it's a really great book for you to pick up. Maybe it will change your life as much as it changed mine. So I'm going to read a little bit from something I've underlined to kind of give you an idea of what maybe she offers. I didn't realize that through the undoing of my life, God was actually putting me back together again. Every tear that fell reflected not only my brokenness, but also God's inner healing. So this is a great book about healing from trauma, healing from anxiety, healing from a season, a really low season where you just feel like you're not measuring up. And so this is a great book to pick up. Next book, I actually really got into journaling in 2023. I kind of like eased up on it because I was going through a lot in my personal life with my family suffering through some loss, but I absolutely love this book, How Are You Really? And this is by Jenna Kutcher. She actually has a podcast called The Goal Digger. I love this podcast and I love this person. She is incredible. She's such an inspiration. And this book kind of walks you through your inner landscape. Now, I'm not a very introspective person, so I kind of need someone to force me to be. And this book forced me to look inside myself and kind of ask myself the big questions about how am I really doing? Because I'm a 7, Enneagram 7. If you know 7s, we are avoidance people when it comes to emotions. We don't like to talk about feelings and we don't like to admit when we're going through something. So this book was a really great thing to push me out of my comfort zone and make me kind of ask myself tough, hard questions. It also has a lot of really amazing little questionnaires that you can fill out. And so I'm not going to let you see all of my answers, but I'm going to give you an idea. It prompted me to say what inspires you? And just some of the things that I wrote down: a hug, resilience, poetry, kindness, loving encouragement, bravery, self-sacrifice, a windy spring day, a wise person. What problem do you wish you could solve? I wish I could help others find and accomplish their passions. I wish I could encourage others to embrace their dreams. So it just kind of gives you a guide to what really matters to you. So I'm going to read you a quote out of the book. Our acknowledgement that there's a problem opens us up to the fact that we might need to step up as part of the fix. So that's something that I struggle with, acknowledging that there are problems and kind of knowing how to fix them. So this is a really great book to kind of help you navigate your inner landscape. And it also has a lot of great journaling prompts because she is very big into journaling your dreams, journaling your goals. And so I really highly recommend this book. It really helped me understand myself a lot better. Once again, in no particular order, Habits of a Household is the #1 book that changed my life. I am a parent and I am a wife. I am a child of God. And this book helped me find a deeper walk with God involving my family and helped me kind of organize my life in a way that would be pleasing to God or in a way that would just be helpful to my family. There are a lot of really great things that kind of mirror prairie life in this book, talking about, the importance of eating together, the importance of playing together, fun adventures and making memories. And it just kind of walks you through little he calls them liturgies, opportunities to praise God through the mundane things that you do. And so this book was such an inspiration to me. It also really helped you kind of navigate your own inner landscape as well, and why you might be clinging to some of the habits that you do cling to. So this book was absolutely masterful in reorganizing my family and the way that I kind of approached family living. It says parenting happens in habits. We make meals, we get in cars, we answer questions, we discipline, we do bedtime. Habits of a household shows how these ordinary routines are extraordinary opportunities to live out the love of God in profound ways. In this book, you will find the tools you need for parenting and discovering spiritual meaning in otherwise mundane moments. You'll learn how to discover a new framework for discipline, re-examine screen time through the lens of a spiritual foundation, embrace familyhood the way it should be, introduce your children to biblical rhythms of work, play, and rest, acquire simple practices for meaningful family mealtimes, and develop a custom age chart for your family to have goals of what you want to instill in your child while they're under your roof. Great book. Highly recommend. Get it. Fear 7, listen really closely. This book changed my life. Absolutely changed my life. This is John Mark Comer's The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry. As a Enneagram 7, I am someone who is always on the go, looking for the next adventure, have major FOMO, never want to miss out on anything fun. And sometimes I run myself into the ground. I don't know how to wait. I don't know how to hesitate. I don't know how to fill up my inner cup. I don't know how to have patience or delayed gratification. And this book was such an incredible building block in my life to help me kind of realign some things that were a little bit off and to help me really focus on the things that matter. And that would be like protecting my inner peace, making sure that I'm getting enough rest time, making sure that the things that matter to me are at the forefront and I'm not just in avoidance all the time because I'm chasing the new best thing, the new great adventure. This book was incredible. It says on the back, how to stay emotionally healthy and spiritually alive in the chaos of the modern world. It gives you so many practical bits of advice on how you can slow down your life in a way that's not going to like be crazy drastic, but it's like the running doesn't own you. You own the running. Like you are in charge. It puts you back in the driver's seat of your life so that you're not just being pulled all the time by fun and adventures. You're being grounded in this idea that you do need to slow down for your mental health, for your emotional health, and your spiritual health. And some people like me don't know how to do that. So this was a great book to just realign and be like, hey, go home and calm down. This next book, for a Christian person, which is me and whoever is Christian out there, it is a paramount read. The Reset by Jeremy Riddle. If you've ever heard of Bethel worship music, Jeremy Riddle used to be at the forefront of their worship team, one of their worship teams. And this book is a re-examination of what worship is in today's modern culture and how to take celebrity culture out of the mainstream church and out of mainstream worship and how to redefine it the way that God sees it. And as a worship leader myself, if you didn't know that, fun fact, I'm a worship leader at my church. This was such an incredible book for me to read, and it was a great reset on what Christian culture should be today. So it says, even as the sound of modern worship has grown louder, the heartbeat of true worship has grown faint. This is a call for those whose hearts burn to see it revived, who long to see the purity of worship restored in the Lord's house of prayer once again and reflect the fullness of his glory and the wonder of his heart. The Reset is not simply a book on worship, it's an appeal to the broader worship community to once again reorder their lives and practices in accordance to the Word of God and the heart of worship. I thought it was such a great book. So if you are somebody who just needs a reset on what church culture should look like today, you would love this book. I don't have it with me, but Atomic Habits was such an incredible read for me. James Clearly. This book was so good because I know for me, I'm someone who, like, when I want to make a change, I want to make a big change. And because it's a big change, I can't always sustain that change because it's too big of a change. So this book really focuses on practical ways to start changing your life, and they're called Atomic Habits, like small micro changes that will change the trajectory of your life. Like he's the one that talks about, like making your bed every morning can change your whole day. Just something small, getting up a little bit earlier, making sure you're eating healthy, just small little habits that kind of redirect your day to day, your year, and then your life. And so this was such a great book. If you're looking on small, manageable, bite-sized changes that will greatly affect your life in a positive way, but aren't overwhelming and not sustainable, this is a great book to pick up. Coming to the end of the line. this book, The Common Rule, another great book by this author, where's his name? Justin Whitmel Earley. I never say his name right because I feel like it's a mouthful. This is what he looks like. He's got a great Instagram too, by the way. There. This book is so great. It talks about how to organize your private world in today's modern chaos. Can you tell that I read a lot of books about organizing my life? Because as a 7, Enneagram 7, we're very, like, I'm not saying we can't be organized, but it's like not our default. We're usually people who are just kind of like Pocahontas, like we'll go where the wind goes. And so this is such a great book on ordering your private world and making habits that are really great for you, spiritual, emotional, and otherwise. But what I love about it so much more is that it really talks about how screen time greatly affects our day-to-day. And you wouldn't think about it, and I know it's like a conversation nobody wants to have because nobody wants to give up their phone and screen time. But this talks about healthy ways to kind of weed out those temptations of always being on your phone. It also talks about how to align your habits with your beliefs. So a lot of the time we have habits, but they're not backed up by our belief system. And if they were, if we could make a conscious effort to back up all the habits we have with what we believe, we would be so much more empowered to do the things that we set out to do. So this is a great book to kind of help you get organized, making what you believe, back up your habits, and how to kind of run this race well and do it in a practical way. Next book is Search for Significance by Robert McGee. I read this book in 2018, I believe. I was very young. And we all go through times where we just don't know our purpose. We don't know what our significance is on this earth. We're very confused. We might have had goals or dreams or visions and they just haven't come to reality. And we just feel kind of angsty and we feel like soul fever. We don't know what we're doing here. And we need guidance on that. We need some like wisdom, like therapy wisdom, but we also need some like God wisdom. And so this book is very good on teetering both sides, like into therapy, but also like talking a lot about what God sees you as and who you are in Him. And so this book was a great way to kind of just get back on the idea that I do have purpose, I do have significance, my life does really matter. And here are some ways that I can actually search for significance in a biblical way that doesn't make me just, search outside of like God for who I'm meant to be. But it helps me to kind of search within the framework of like God created me for a purpose. Help me find it. And so this book is a really great book in directing you to do that. So I highly recommend this book. This next one is for all of the parents out there. This is 5 Love Languages of Children. This was such a great book. It helped me understand my children very deeply because not everyone is loved the same way or do they experience love in the same way. So this was such a great way for me to find out what specific way my child needs me to show love to them. And for my daughter, Ellie, she loves physical touch. She loves hugs and squeezes and just physically affirming that you love her. But my daughter, Addie, she loves quality time. And so that's her love language. She spells love, T-I-M-E. This was such a great book for me to just kind of explore the different love languages of my child and like what best way I can love them to where they feel loved by me and it's what meets their needs. For example, language is not even on the list. I would say I love gift giving and when people buy me gifts, but also mine is mutual respect. Like when people mutually respect me, that's my love language. My greatest pet peeve or ick is to be disrespected in some way. So that's what makes me tick. And I got to find out what makes my child tick and I love it. And so we got to sit down and talk about, this is how mommy feels loved. When you respect her and you talk to her kindly and you don't, meanfully say something in hurtful ways to mommy. And, this is how Ellie feels loved. She wants to be physically, hugged. And it was such a great way to kind of just show them, like, not only is this the way I love you, but this is the way you can love your sister. And this is the way you can love your siblings. So such a great read. I recommend it to any family. I'm down to my last 2 books. Now, this wasn't my favorite book ever, but it's a honorable mention because I think that there are a lot of people who struggle with church hurt. And so this book, Raised to Stay, and this is by, Natalie Runyon. Sorry, I couldn't remember. I met her in person. She was at a women's conference that we went to. She's such a beautiful person. This is such a great book on overcoming church hurt and pain and kind of walking through what, like maybe you have this like ick about church and you have this ick about God's people and you don't really know where it came from. And this is a very good way to like walk you backwards. Like, where did this pain start? Where did this idea that God's church is mean start? Where did this idea that people in church always hurt you come from? It's her personal testimony and experience with church hurt and how she overcame it. And it is such a great book, and it gives you practical steps moving forward, that if you've been hurt in church before, but you want to move on and you want to go back to church, it's a great book to kind of get you into that headspace of like, I'm going to try again. We get food poisoning all the time, but we still need to eat. We still need to go to church and be with believers that are an encouragement, even when we've had a couple of people burn us. We have to realize that God's church is about Him. And just because a church person hurt you, that's not a representation of God. That's a representation of just our human nature and how we fail sometimes. We're not perfect, but God is perfect, so we can always rely on Him. So such a great book. Highly recommend. My last book that I recommend that changed my life may not be your cup of tea, and that's totally fine, but I just wanted to mention it. This helped me in my walk with specifically faith and having faith for things that I might not see right now in the natural, but I prayerfully expect that God is going to bless me and God is going to provide for me. And this is The Believer's Authority by Kenneth Hagin. This is such a great book. If you are a Christian, you may not know how to claim all of the promises that God offers. You may not know how to live victoriously, overcoming things that might hinder you, like sickness or lack or just whatever you may be walking through. But this is a great book about how to address things. I think in the Bible, we see a lot of people who go through things, and it's kind of an example of what to do when you go through that. Like Paul went through suffering. Well, how did he respond to that? Jesus went through temptation. How did he respond to that? We as Christians might struggle with something, but we need to know how to respond to that thing. And this is such a great way to show you how to biblically respond to the issues of life and how to claim your authority as a child of God. You are seen as a child of God with all of the authority and power that Jesus has. So this is such a great book to talk about your authority as a believer, what you can pray, what you can claim over your life. And I absolutely love this book. So if this is something that you don't agree with, skip over it. I don't care, it's fine. But if it's something that you have been struggling with, if your Christian walk is not as powerful and effective and you're not seeing goodness and favor in your life and you just don't understand why your prayers aren't working, this is a great book to pick up. So do it. Those are all the books that changed my life. I know that they're not going to be the same books that might change everyone's life, but I highly recommend looking into some of them as a great guide to how to order your private world, how to navigate your inner landscape, how to parent better, and how to do life with Jesus better. And I hope that this really helped and encouraged you, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.